Hey everyone, in this video playlist, I'm going to go over some of the tools that we're going to be using in Adobe Illustrator. I'm just going to be covering the basics to help you gain some understanding, hopefully make you less frustrated. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is what workspace I'm in. So I'm going to go up to the window menu here. I'm going to click into the window menu. And I'm going to go and hover down to Workspace, and I'm just making sure that I'm in Windows Essentials because that matters because it's how my layout kind of shows up and is. So I'm working in the Workspace Essentials, and this is actually the version Adobe Illustrator 2026. At the same time, the first thing that we're going to talk about today is we are going to talk about the thing that starts as the rectangle tool. If I hover over here on the left-hand side, this is the tool that's the fourth thing down. It is the letter M. It says the rectangle tool. If I right-click this rectangle tool, you can see that it also becomes other tools. It can become the ellipse tool, the polygon tool, the star tool, or finally the line segment tool. You can look at the end of those and see that not each one, but a few of them have shortcuts like the letter M, the letter L, and the backward slash. The next thing is I'm actually going to right click I'm going to go to the end of this toolbar and I'm going to click the little arrow and I'm going to kick that little toolbar out. This gives me the ability to move that little tool around and switch through shapes easily. Nothing you have to do, just a little thing that I enjoy doing, especially when I'm creating shapes or, I guess, different things from shapes. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about here is, what I've done and where I'm at is I'm in my getting started document. So you could open up the document right now just to kind of be playing around. We've already used this. It doesn't matter what we do as far as editing wise. You could just delete the whole thing if you wanted to as far as make a whole bunch of white space. I'm just going to go down here to the bottom and kind of show you the different things that it's capable of doing. Now, I guess the first thing I'm going to do is just to give you a little review about just some simple navigational tips that will help you make you less frustrated. I think many of you are getting these things down, but just a reminder here that, the scroll wheel, I like using a mouse. The scroll wheel is your friend. So scrolling down takes me down in my document. Scrolling up takes me up in my document. If I hold the shift key down and I click, sorry, I misspoke, the control key down and I click and drag, it slides to the left and slides to the right. So that's the control key plus the scroll wheel. At the same time, if I take the Alt key and push that in, and I scroll in or out, down, and I scroll in, up, it moves me around in my document. Wherever my mouse is where it scrolls into. So just got kind of a little handy thing to know. And then the other part is, once we get in, if you push down the scroll wheel, you can pan wherever you want to in the document. Now, one thing that I always suggest when working in Adobe Illustrator is to try to be zoomed in and so you can see what you're working on so you're not guessing where you're clicking. Because if you click on the wrong things, it gets frustrating fast. Now, getting into the rectangle tool, I'm going to click on that right here. And I'm going to talk about how we can make one. So the first way we can make one is we can just click and drag. If we click and drag, right now it looks like I have a fill. And I have no outline. So I'm going to change that really quick after I click and drag and release. I'm going to go over here to my appearance and I'm going to turn my fill, I'm going to turn that fill to white. And I'm going to turn my stroke to black. Two very common colors in the laser engraving process because, black turns the laser on and white turns the laser off in our situation. Another way we can make a rectangle is by just clicking. When we click, we get a little bar here we can enter data. And I'm realizing that mine right now is in inches. So I'm going to cancel because I'm going to change this to centimeters because I think a lot of times we've been working in centimeters so far. So I'm going to hit just cancel here. And the way I'm going to go and change my I guess units is, I'm sure there's a different way to do this too, but this is the way I'm doing it. I'm going to go to the view menu up here on top. I'm going to slide down to where it says rulers. And then I'm going to hit show rulers. What show rulers does is puts a little ruler right around the edge. 0 is in the upper left-hand corner. At the same time, if I want to be in, centimeters versus inches, I can right-click, and then I can change that into centimeters or millimeters, depending on whatever you want to work on it. I really don't care. I was just trying to show you different ways to access those kind of things. I think a lot of people understand centimeters just a little better than inches at this point. Now, when I click into centimeters, all I need to do is click, and then all I need to do next is enter data to make a rectangle. So I'm going to go with a width of 5 centimeters. And then I'm going to hit tab to tab down to the next piece. I'm going to do a height of 2.5 centimeters. And then I'm going to hit OK. Just showing you two different ways to make a rectangle. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is, I guess the perfect square. All right. And that is if I click and drag, well, I could also just type in two equal pieces of data. But if I hold the Shift key down, what it does is it locks my ratio at a 1-to-1, and I make a equally sized or width and height in Adobe Illustrator. Just kind of showing you another different way. So that's holding the Shift key down. Now, the next tool or next shape we can make in this tool is we can make ellipses. This is very similar to our rectangles. If I click and drag, it makes an ellipse. If I stretch it out or I squish it, it becomes longer than it is tall. At the same time, if I click, I can enter the width and height. At the same time, I'm just going to hit OK here because I think you guys can play through and kind of edit those and make them however you want to, just making this video as short as possible. And then lastly, if I want to make a perfect circle, I can hold the Shift key down and click and drag, and I'll have a perfect circle from that ellipse tool. Moving right along to the next shape we have, this is a tool called the polygon tool. So making a multi-sided shape, pass 4. So if I click here and I come in and I click and drag, it starts in, how many sides we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as a hexagon. All right. If I click and drag around and kind of rotate it, I can make it so it's flat and level, whatever it may be, or so it's tilted. At the same time, if I release it, there's a couple things about the polygon tool that are not on the other tools. And that is there's a little diamond over here on the right-hand side. You can see it, if I hover over it, it says a plus and minus. And that's because if I drag it up, it's going to give me less sides. I actually just went back to there's a triangle, square, pentagon, and so on, moving on up. And I can make sides larger by clicking and dragging it down, or more sides, adding sides. All right, I'm just going to go back to an octagon. Now, the other thing is, if I click this tool, once again, I can choose the number of sides, and it works by radius. I don't know if this radius goes to the outside points or the inside points. At the same time, this also allows me a different method to make another shape. Also, if I hold the Shift key down and I click and drag, it makes our shape be, I guess, orientated so we are lined up parallel to our artboard, where our bottom is running parallel and our top is running parallel to the tops and bottoms of our artboard. Now, the next tool is the star tool. If I click on the star tool, I click and drag, it allows me to make a 5-pointed star. If I go down here to this little slider, I can edit the number of points. And once again, if I just click, I can change, the number of points. And I can also set up our radius to be, the size of our outside radius is the top, number 1, and then the size of our inside radius being number 2. And that allows us to make our, stars a little bit more pointy or a little bit more looking like those little drawings of a sun if they're closer together. So if I came in here and edit this one to be something like, 1.2, something that's not so drastic, and I hit OK, you're going to see that star is a lot more, it's not as pointy because the inside radius is a little closer to the outside radius. If I bump those up, I can kind of do what I was talking about earlier, where you're making kind of one of those little star shapes or sun shapes. Now, the next thing is the line segment. The line segment tool is just a way to make a line. So if I click, it allows me to say, hey, here's the direction I want to go as far as angle-wise, and here's the length. If I cancel there, if I click and drag, I end up making it, and I can kind of free transform. Those are the shape tool is what I refer to it, but it starts as the rectangle tool. One thing that I do right here is just kind of, do what I did as far as practice, play, learn the different things you can do with these tools. Thanks for watching.